Wildfires in Texas have burned more than 1 million acres as firefighters continue to fight the blazes. Stephanie Sy has our look at the long road ahead for farmers and ranchers in the Texas Panhandle.
Jeff, the Smokehouse Creek fire, the largest in the state's history, is now mostly contained, but not before it and other wildfires in the state inflicted major damage on the agriculture industry in the Panhandle. Texas's cattle industry is worth $15.5 billion, with some 11.8 million head of cattle in the state. 85% of the cattle is located in the Panhandle. So far, more than 7,000 head have died in the fires. Farmers and ranchers now face devastating personal and financial losses. For more, we're joined by Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller. Mr. Miller, thank you for joining the NewsHour. I understand that the big wildfire out there is 85% contained. Are the farmers and ranchers in the Panhandle out of the woods from active fires at this point?
Well, I think so. The latest report, we have a new report out. 90% of all the fires are contained, 90% containment. However, we've got dry conditions coming up, so the likelihood of fire spreading is great. So we're trying to stay on top of those, make sure they stay out.
Okay. And I said that there are some 7,000 head that have died so far. I expect that that number is going to go up. But it's not just about the dead cattle, is it? What about all that grazing land that's been raised? What about all the infrastructure?
Well, and you're absolutely correct. Over 7,000 head of cattle that are dead, 2,000 square miles of land scorched. Looks like a moonscape. 120 miles of electric lines on the ground, so there's no electricity to the wells to pump water for the livestock. We closed 16 schools. Most of those are back open. We've lost over 500 barns and houses in that area. 3 fatalities, 5 injured firefighters. So it's a big problem up there. We've got a lot of recovery and a lot of work ahead of us as we go forward.
Now, I know that you have been in touch with the Agriculture Secretary, Tom Vilsack. I also know the USDA is offering some loans to ranchers. Between that and any other disaster assistance that may become available, is that going to be enough for these businesses and ranchers to be on the road to recovery?
Well, yes, but the road is going to be long and hard. It'll take at least 2 years for the grass to come back on these places. We've got, out of my estimate, not official, probably 3,000 to 4,000 miles of fence to replace at $15,000 a mile. So we desperately need hay and fencing materials in that panhandle area. We lost 7 grain and seed dealers, completely wiped out. So it wasn't just the farmers and ranchers. We had railroads go through that part of the state. We lost 1 railroad trestle. So the railroad was down for a while. I think they've got it repaired, at least where they can use it and keep the trains running. But a lot of things you don't think about when you have a fire of this magnitude.
You are a cattleman yourself, I understand. It's in your blood. I wonder if you could describe for us what it might be like to be a cattleman right now in that area, what they might be going through mentally and emotionally, not to mention financially.
Well, some of those ranches up there are, over 100 years old, generation after generation. It gets to the point where you don't own the land, the land owns you, and that's your family heritage. Everything about your family is now gone. You may not have anything but the shirt on your back. So it's very devastating to these families to lose everything they got. They've got cattle losses are astronomical. That 7,000 number will continue to go up. We've got a lot of cattle we're going to have to euthanize. Their hooves are burnt off. Their udders are burnt beyond, you can't, heal those up. A lot of orphan calves are going to have to be bottle fed. So it's a mess. We'll have to put down a lot of those cattle or at least take them to the sale barn. They're just not salvageable after they've been through a fire like that.
Are you worried about the mental health of some of these farmers and business owners, given the threats to their livelihoods that they're facing right now?
Yes, and I would like to direct everybody to our website and our social media texasagriculture.gov. You'll find our hay hotline there, where you can, and you'll find drop locations around the state and other states. You'll find delivery points in the Panhandle if you want to ship fencing supplies or feed or hay directly up there. Now then, our AgriStress network, that's my suicide mental health hotline. It's different than 988. The phone number for the AgriStress hotline is 833-897-2474. We answer that around the clock. We answer within 30 seconds. And we just don't take that call one time. We call you back the next day and the next day until we make sure that you're okay.
Commissioner, as devastating as this clearly was for ranchers, farmers, and business owners in the Panhandle, do you expect the impact to be relatively localized given just the size of Texas's agriculture industry?
I'd like to reassure consumers that this fire will not drive beef prices higher. You know, I think you mentioned we have 11 million head of cattle in Texas alone. This is going to be 10,000, 15,000 head total. But even the ones that we have to, salvage and sell because they're no longer viable to the operation. So overall, it won't affect the overall price of beef to the average consumer. Now, locally, it's going to, have some local implications to those farmers and ranchers around there. Having to sell your livelihood is pretty tough sometimes. You spend decades building up these genetics on these cattle, and all one day, it's all gone. So tough time for these ranchers up there.
Well, our thoughts are certainly with you and them. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller, thanks so much for joining the NewsHour.
Thank you.